So originally the plan was to try and run the piping from the basement to the second floor using essentially the same system that they had in the original house, which was to run some piping from the basement all the way up to the second floor. We were going to use copper pipes because they were going to be visible, but in the end we decided that we were going to try a slightly different tactic, and that is that we wanted to run the pipes inside this closet right over here. We just thought it would be maybe a little bit more subtle, a little bit more hidden. That way we can kind of take these pipes down and close them up, and then we're still gonna have probably the visible copper pipes in the hallway, 2 sets of them, a little nod to the origins of the heating of this house. But for now, the challenge is gonna be just trying to successfully drill through all the various layers of flooring, ceiling, and it is added an extra layer of complication by the fact that these closets here actually have a faux ceiling. So the ceiling of the closets is not the full height of the ceiling of the rest of the room. So we're not entirely sure what to do about that either. We're basically just going to drill and investigate and proceed with caution. We started by removing those old pipes. Now these were the pipes that go to the radiator that we removed from the bedroom the previous summer before I did my whole aesthetic bedroom makeover video, which will of course be linked below. I didn't need to hold it anymore. You can really see exactly how thick the floor joists are by looking at the unpainted sections of piping. That's gotta be almost a foot.
Hello, hello, hello.
What is?
I think it's just subfloor.
Subfloor in the ceiling?
There's a floor on top.
3 feet up.
I don't know, it's a piece of wood. But this is blown in.
I mean, I'm not surprised. It probably fell in through one of the bays, maybe.
That piece of copper pipe.
You want
can
it?
kind of poke it in and try to make things fall down. And
This closet has a drop ceiling. It stops right about here, so it was a complete mystery to us what lay between the top of the closet ceiling and the bottom of the second floor. Having learned all we could in the main level, we headed up to the second story to pull up the floor and see what we could see from up top.
all right. So we have a beam right here. And there's plaster. It stops here, so we can remove that board. Okay. So that's just a normal joist. Yeah, just a normal joist. So, is that the cable we see? Wow, that is a big hole. Holy shit.
Yeah, I told you, it's huge.
Good news is the house doesn't seem to be supported on it too much.
On the chimney? No, it's in a massive void.
Yeah. Wow.
We just intended to pull up a floorboard or two to pass the pecs into the second level. I'm in the red bedroom right now, but instead we accidentally opened a door to another dimension because you can see this massive cavern inside between the two walls where the chimney is. It's actually pretty cool. Phil is filming it right now, so I'll show it to you in a sec. But that was a very unexpected discovery of the day, so pretty cool. But it looks like the good news is we definitely have a lot of room to run the pecs.
And check out this massive wall cavity. You can see the chimney, the plaster and lath of the downstairs rooms, and the floor joists of the second story. Oh, and an absolute mountain of blown-in insulation.
Huh. Okay, so that's that. And so all this insulation is what should have stayed in the wall there.
Yeah.
And this wall is probably fairly empty.
It's so cold in here, I can see my breath.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much. We need heating in here.
So insider scoop here on making YouTube videos, and that is that for basically every video I put out, I kind of can predict what a vast majority of the comments are going to be, and they often fall, or at least my brain likes to categorize them into different categories. So there's going to be the category of people just giving general, very nice, enthusiastic, like, we love the video. There's going to be that section of you that just comment a string of emojis for the algorithm. There's going to be, you know, if I'm doing any actual demolition of the house, if there are any single even thoughts of dust particles, I'm going to get a whole category of people talking about asbestos. If I am installing any sort of system, I'm going to get a ton of questions about why am I installing the system, how am I installing it, why did I choose that system. Doesn't matter if I've talked about it a million times on previous videos, there's going to be a whole category of comments about it. But there are always a few categories that take me completely by surprise. And this past week, the #1 surprise category was people who were very kindly wishing that the universe would manifest Phil some new work boots. I'm guessing it was probably because of this clip right here, which they are admittedly looking very ratty, but I will also say that I did not even notice this when I was editing because both of our shoes pretty much look like this. They are work boots. We get them secondhand, so they're already a bit worn in, and then we wear them to death. And you should just be glad that you cannot smell them through your screens because anyway, yeah, I don't know, like, what can I say? We are clearly, as proven multiple times on this channel, fashion icons. You come to Shayna Makes because I bring you not only cheerful renovations, but from the peak of fashion as well. Seriously though, I have always prioritized comfort and practicality over looking stylish. You can ask any of my yearbooks, my classmates, my roommates, they will all confirm. But the two are not always mutually exclusive, especially not with today's sponsor, Classy. So stay tuned because this is the most fashionable you are about to see me look in quite a while. So I have one of their shirts on right now, and Classy is on a mission to make uncomfortable bras a thing of the past by integrating the bra right into a wide range of cute and size-inclusive tops. Because let's be real, whether you are a member of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee or you've been blessed with a busty bosom, conventional bras generally miss the mark. They are well known to be pretty uncomfortable, but Classy's tops, they are comfortable, they are well designed, they are cute, as you can clearly see, plus they are designed with bodies of all sizes in mind. So their tops come with built-in removable padding. I actually have a couple of options here, so you can just switch the padding out for larger or smaller pads, depending on the kind of coverage you're looking for. And while it was unfortunately too cold for me to wear any of their sleeveless or short sleeve options for very long, I went with the long sleeved top, which is very comfortable, and I am loving the neckline here, especially this little keyhole. So if you also dream of ditching your bra I can give Classy's line of shirts a hearty thumbs up. They feel well made, they're comfortable, and they have a ton of cute styles. So to check them out, you can click the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen for 20% off your first Classy order. Use my code CLASSY342 at checkout, and don't forget to tell them that I sent you. So without further ado, let's get back into the work clothes and get to work. So now that we'd verified that our plan should work, we could start drilling the holes to pass the tubing.
Nice.
How cat litter got behind the quarter round, I'll never know. Then it was time to bring in the radiators. And if you want to learn more about the heating process, because many of you have been having questions on it in the comments, I invite you to watch the previous videos linked in the description because I cover it in much more detail there. The bedroom needed 10 feet of radiator all along one wall, but they don't sell radiators that long, so here we're just soldering two 5-foot radiators together into one long one. Then, at some point, I started prepping the front sunroom. We had skipped over the red room, even though it was technically next in line, because I still needed to tear down the closet there. There's a bunch of stuff in the way. So we skipped over it and we'll be starting on the sunroom next. And so I started by pulling up the quarter rounds and cleaning up the flooring so we could install 3 radiators, one on each side of this window. Just like in the bedrooms, there was a bunch of gunk and junk behind these moldings, but in this case, it was little bits of balled up newspaper. Surely it was shoved in there at one point in time to try and block some of the immense draft that was coming up through these floorboards. Try as I might though, I never found a section with a year.
We've come to the moment of truth here because our entire heating plan for the second floor revolves around our ability to open up this floor here and get access to the joists and everything underneath it so that we can kind of plumb certain parts of this. It's a whole thing, it's complicated, but if we can't get this floor up, it's all screwed. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking cutting into the floor, but we are just going to proceed with caution and hopefully all goes well.
Gonna hit a lot of nails because they nailed in all of the tongue sides.
So they nailed this board like this, right?
They nail going into the tongue.
Yeah, so into this board here. This board has a tongue, this board has the groove on this joint.
This board has a tongue here.
So we're taking up this one, right?
Yeah, we're taking up this.
So we carefully extracted one of the floorboards, cutting through not only the numerous layers of paint, but also the tongue of the tongue and groove. It's unfortunate that we kind of had to do this, but it was really the only way to get a single board up.
Teeth? What teeth?
Wow. Time for a new blade. Now, another category of my comment section was predictably dedicated to the mystery of my chimney, because I did ask for thoughts, speculation, wrong answers, right answers, whatever you had, and boy howdy, did you all deliver. Now, most of them were unfortunately wildly off the mark, from diagonal floor joists, sorry, they're completely parallel to the rest of the house, to the idea that it would take up less space to have the chimney at a 45. Friends, it's a square chimney. It takes up the same area whether it's set at an angle or not. To the fantastical notion that so many people floated of it being a witch's chimney, which I have spoken about before. Please see my previous attic videos where I spent a fair deal of time discussing the fascinating things that the chimneys are telling me about my house's history. I will be sure to link that in the description. It's a couple different videos if you want to check them out. But first of all, my kitchen chimney is not a witch's chimney, but also, as far as I can tell, the notion of a witch's chimney is a purely apocryphal tale made up to explain a phenomenon with much more practical and boring origins, which is that oftentimes the fireplaces on the main floor, such as this one here, didn't line up with the ridgeline of the roof. So at some point they would have to sort of hitch over slightly in order to intersect the roof at the right spot. And that is exactly what the chimney for this fireplace and the other chimney on the other half of the house are doing. So again, please just go watch the attic videos for more information. They are quite fascinating, but also know that chimney in the kitchen is not a witch's chimney. There is no translation. It goes straight up. It just spirals slightly in place. I also did love this comment. The viewer pointed out that the number of architectural elements that have been attributed to witches sometimes make them wonder how we've not managed to extinct ourselves as a species, which, hang on to your hats, we're well on the way. So I think we can add a witch's chimney to the list of apocryphal tales, along with things like cross and Bible doors, coffin curves, coffin windows, coffin doors, all those. Then I had a series of plausible answers, which were kind of fun. The first one was that the helical nature was thought to create a better natural updraft, and then therefore also reduce smoke going down, which seems like a very sound theory, would have been very practical in a kitchen especially, but in my specific case, it is such a small helix. It's only about 1/8 of a rotation over 4 courses of bricks. It's basically nothing. So it doesn't seem likely that that's the case in our chimney. It doesn't feel like it's enough of a helix to change the drafts very much. The second plausible idea was that it was for structural integrity, adding strength to the structure, which I think it's plausible as a concept for chimneys in general, but probably not in my specific case, again, because there's just not much of a twist. It barely twists, so I don't think that's adding any structural integrity. Also, the other 2 chimneys in the house, including this one behind my fireplace here, are both taller and have 0 twists, so that would seem to rule it out as a reason. Thirdly, it could be to minimize the rain going down to the furnace, according to this viewer who said it is a local tradition in Nova Scotia, which, I mean, it certainly does rain a lot here. It is currently freezing rain outside, but alas, there's no furnace, there's no basement underneath that chimney. It's literally just a crawl space. And again, the twist is so slight, I don't think it would keep much rain out. It certainly didn't do a very good job of keeping the mortar out as we were throwing it inside the chimney. And lastly, and I think the most plausible theory, is that the kitchen might have had both a wood burning stove and a separate stove made for boiling water, and that putting the chimney on a 45-degree angle would allow for 2 access points into the chimney on each side of that dividing wall. I will put the whole comment up here if you want to pause and read it. It seems to still be done in parts of Europe, and that is definitely plausible, and also, in my opinion, the strongest theory we have so far. Then lastly, my favorite intentionally wrong answers, which there was one that said it was to create a bonding opportunity between the neighbors on either side of the house. Second was that it was the harebrained idea of a bunch of drunk men in a bar at 2 a.m. designed to create a mystery for the future owners of the house. Love that one. 3 was that the Fraggles could access both sides of the house, and lastly is that it was better to allow access to both halves of the house for Santa at Christmas. This one has the most upvotes, and it's also my personal favorite. Either way though, I do think that more of the mystery will be revealed as we actually open up the wall in the kitchen to remove the rest of the chimney, because then we will be able to see how many access points there are in the chimney, where they're located, and that should hopefully give us enough information that we can finally solve the mystery. So we're back with a brand new blade for a much improved workflow. Even with the tongue cut, extracting the board was still a bit tricky because the nails were sunk in at an angle, so we then had to go through and individually make sure that they were all cut as well, but finally the last nail was cut and the board was free. Unfortunately, we did lose some rather large splinters in the process, but they were just kept with their motherboard, and we'll make sure to go back and glue them on before reinstalling it. But that was just the main floor. We still had to get through the subfloor. Not pictured here? The amount of planning and calculations that we went through to make sure we removed as little as possible, and in a way that we could put it back as seamlessly as possible.
Nice keys.
Oh!
Chisel!
A couple things, wow.
Then we were finally able to check out what lay beneath our floorboards.
Oh, there's the power cables for, some knob and tubing. Is that joist split? No, that's just water damage. Oh, fun, water damage.
So Phil set to work drilling some holes to pass the PEX, and meanwhile, I set to work taking apart the closet in the red room. Now, if you are unfamiliar with this room or you want a refresher, I'll direct you to this video where I show off some more of it, and also this video where I highlight some of the stranger features of the room. I know you probably won't actually go watch these videos, but I have to try and staunch the flow of questions that I've already answered in previous videos, so bear with me. Needless to say, this closet was a modern addition to the room, and due to some unique construction decisions, it had to come down before we could remove the radiator, and we had to remove the old radiator before we could install the new ones. So yeah, that's why we didn't start in on the red room right away and skipped over it to start work on the sunroom.
Nice.
Eventually, Phil finished drilling the holes though, and it was time to start running the piping.
I'm coming to you at the moment looking like I'm about to tell some sort of creepy ghost story because Phil is working on the power at the moment. It's a whole thing. Let me get into it for you because it's just, just another turn in the road at this crazy house. So what happened was, as you saw earlier, when we were looking for a way to fish the pipes from downstairs to upstairs, we opened up that massive cavity where you could see the chimney and all the insulation. And we also noticed that there was this one cable that we could kind of see in the distance, a power cable that was like winding its way. We couldn't tell exactly where, and then it was popping out right in the corner. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can find a clip of it here to show you. It's this cable right here. And as we were kind of pulling out the floorboards, it turns out that part of that cable, the covering, had worn off, and also turns out that there was a nail sticking out of the floor right next to it.
The wire goes there. Yeah, there was a nail right there. So stupid.
So as we were shifting stuff around, that cable just bumped over, hit the nail, sent sparks, and it put the power out in a couple places along the line. And we discovered, oh, there's no power in this outlet and that outlet. We were like, okay, this is something we should address, but not right now. Things seem okay for the moment. We're just gonna continue with the heating for today and come back and figure the situation out later. Well, as the sun went down, we discovered, oh, actually, that also connects all of the lights in our hallway. So the downstairs hallway and the upstairs hallway, they're all on this same line. So basically that cable must snake from the downstairs and then up through that chimney cavity into like the opposite corner diagonally of the house, and then must go through some walls somewhere, and then finishes with the light switch in the upstairs hallway. So we were like, okay, we probably should take care of this so that we can have some light on in the house. So we went and turned off the master power switch in the house, which, by the way, looks like it is something straight out of a cartoon. It is wild and hilarious. So turn that off, and now he's up there kind of taking care of things. So basically it had shorted, so we're cutting the wire, exposing all the things, connecting all the things properly, and then also we're gonna, while we're there, we're gonna cover up with electrical tape the part of the covering of the cable that had been worn through and exposed, so that will hopefully no longer be a fire hazard. So that's tonight's adventure. As soon as this finishes up, I'm going to start making some dinner here. Soup is on the menu, trying to keep ourselves warm today, and yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Oh, look at that, we probably hit the nail. Okay, I know when I put my
Open wide.
Not with your dirty gloves, that's not better. Oh, you got it?
No, I haven't faked it.
Oh.